What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about pitching grips, and I'm going to show you the 3 pitches that I used to throw in pro ball, and specifically how to grip and throw a sinker, how to grip and throw a slider, and how to grip and throw a forkball. Those were the 3 pitches that I used to throw. And in my pitching program, in Module 4, I teach you how to throw 30 different pitches. So if you're interested in learning a new pitch, that's definitely something that you want to check out. And that's just one module of 12 that comes with the pitching program. So check that out when you get a chance. But let's talk about those pitching grips right now. The first pitch I used to throw was a sinker, okay? It's a version of a fastball. It's very similar to a 2-seam fastball. The only difference between a 2-seam and a sinker is going to be that the sinker gets more depth to it, and a 2-seam typically gets more arm side movement to it, okay? The grip is the same, at least for me. The way I like to grip the sinker is I take my pointer finger and I really hook it on, see where the seams get skinny here? So it goes from the horseshoe down to where they're getting skinnier. So I take my pointer finger and I really hook it on this lace right there. Now I got fat fingers, so it's going to look like my middle finger's on the other lace, but really I'm just getting as close to this finger as I can, and this finger is really hooked on that lace on the skinny part of the ball. And I've got a pretty good grip on it. You can see there's not much space in between there, a little bit of space but not much in there. And thumb placement when you're talking about how to throw the sinker is very important. You see if I drew a line straight down from my finger, it's going to be straight underneath my pointer. This is my pointer finger. If your thumb is too far here, your sinker is not going to be as effective and get as much sink, okay? So you want that thumb to be straight underneath. Also, guys who tuck that thumb, you're not going to have as an effective, at least that's what I always felt, as effective sinker if you're tucked under. So get that thumb right underneath that pointer finger. Nice tight grip, grip it on that inside part of the skinny seam on the 2-seam, all right? Now to throw this pitch, typically guys with lower arm slots, I had a lower arm slot than a conventional pitcher, are gonna be able to get more sink easier. And the reason is when you throw this pitch, and if you're a little bit lower with your arm slot, which I was right around in here at various times in my career. I worked all the way from here to here at various times in my career, but this was probably the most common for me right here. And all you want to do is when you go to release this ball, you really want to kind of pronate as you're coming through your release, which just means turning the hand this way as you're getting to your release point. And then when I release this ball, I want to feel it off the inside part of my pointer finger, and it's going to come off and have this spin right here. And that spin is going to take it down and arm side. And again, I'm focused on trying to get more depth than side to side movement. The reason why we want more depth is because that's going to miss more bats. If you're throwing more side-to-side movement, like more of a 2-seam, a good hitter, if he's got a good swing plane, can still have a good hit on that ball, even if he's off with his timing a little bit. But if you're throwing pitches with more depth on it, you're going to miss a lot more bats and get a lot more ground balls. So that's why I always went for a pitch that had more depth versus side-to-side movement. So that's how you throw the sinker, how to grip and throw the sinker. One other thing to pay attention to when you're throwing the sinker is that I see a lot of guys when they first try to throw this pitch, they really try to get inside of it and really make it spin tight. You want to make it have a nice tight spin, but it's not a changeup, so it's not a fast changeup. When you do that, when you try to really get inside of it, it just becomes like a faster changeup. That's not what you want. It's a fast ball. It's a version of a fastball. That's all I used to throw. Actually, I would throw a 4-seam every once in a while, few and far between inside to lefties. But for the most part, I was probably 98% sinkers on my fastballs. So you want to be aggressive with it when you're throwing. Really attack the zone. It's a fastball, so don't try to get inside and flick it too much, because then it's just going to be a fast changeup. And that ball can get hit a lot easier. So that's how to grip and throw a sinker. Now let's talk about how to grip and throw a slider, okay? Really, I was throwing more of a slurve ball and not necessarily a slider. I called it a slider. Listen, you can call it whatever you want. It's your pitch. You know what you're throwing. As long as your catcher knows what how it's going to move when you say you're throwing that pitch. That's all that matters. So I call it a slider, but I was really throwing a slurve. Again, I was trying to get more depth than side-to-side movement. But for me, with that lower arm angle, it's hard to get like a curveball movement where it's going more down. So I had to get as much depth as I could by staying on top of the ball. So it was more like a slurve this way than it was depth-wise. Now, for you guys who are a little bit higher on your arm slot, I definitely recommend a hard curve or a sharp slider that has more downward break than side to side, all right? For the same reasons we talked about with the sinker. Now for the grip on the slider or the slurve, I grip it on the top of the horseshoe, so where this horseshoe gets fatter from the skinny part up, and I got my middle finger right here hooked on that inside lace, and I got my pointer finger right behind that, and I've got my thumb coming down at an angle. Now this is important too. If I draw a line from my pointer straight down, that's going to go into my thumb. Now it's at an angle, but it's at the same angle that my finger is pointing at, right? That's another thing, because if you're too far over here on this pitch, the ball's going to have a hard time coming out this way. So you want to make sure you're right underneath on the same angle that you're creating, and you want more of the ball to be sticking out this side of that line than this side. So it's going to be easier to come out when you throw that pitch, okay? Now, I've got even a deeper grip here than I did with the sinker. There's no space in here when I'm throwing the slider. And all you want to do on this pitch is when you come across, again, I was a little bit lower of an arm angle guy, so when I come across, I'd really try to stay on top with my fingers, keep my arm slot, and then come straight down right here. And I want to get this ball to come out the top and then spin on this four seam axis going forward, and whatever angle I got that ball to spin on with the four seams, that's what angle it's going to move on, okay? So you really want to work. If you're trying to get more depth, again, the guy's higher, you can get more depth on it going this way. If you're a little bit lower, some guys tend to get on the side of it and leave it up. Now this pitch, again, you want to throw hard. You want to be aggressive with it. The way you grip it and the way it spins is going to take the speed off of the pitch, okay? You don't want to slow it down and try to flick it in there, because then you have the tendency to leave it up in the zone, and those are the pitches that really get crushed when you're throwing them, right? So be aggressive, attack the zone, have conviction behind it, meaning have the full belief in the pitch before you throw it, and really bury it, right? Or try to hit your spot wherever you're trying to go, which should be low in the zone with this pitch, right? All right, good. So that's how to grip and throw a slider, or how to grip and throw a slurve ball. Now let's talk about the last pitch I used to throw, which was a forkball. Again, I used to call it a split finger. If you ever watched my video throwing a bullpen, I titled it, it says split finger when I go throw it, but it's actually a forkball. The difference between a split finger and a forkball is a split finger, you're on the laces here. See, my middle finger's on that lace, and my pointer finger's on this lace, and when I go to throw it, I kind of pull it down and in, and that's split finger. But on a forkball, the one I threw, you really split this ball with no laces. See, I'm not on any laces, and it's more of a slip pitch, okay? Now this pitch isn't great for your arm, so if you're a younger guy, you know, I don't recommend throwing this. This is for an older guy. It's more of a retirement pitch, guy who's trying to make something happen towards the end of his career. But it's a very, very effective pitch, but at the same time, very, very, very hard to control. What the forkball is going to do when you throw it is it's going to have a knuckleball movement and then have a lot of depth to it, okay? It's a really effective pitch, but very hard to control. All you do is grip it, split it right down the middle, no laces, and you're just throwing it just like your fastball, staying right through it, and you throw it with, if you throw it with some good arm speed, it's going to slip out. That's why they call it a slip pitch. It's going to slip out, not going to have a lot of spin. It's going to knuckle and die down. At least that's what mine did most of the time. Again, very hard to control that pitch. Anyway, those are the three pitching grips or pitches that I used to throw. I hope you like that. I hope you learned something. The sinker is a great pitch. I think anyone, all ages, can throw that pitch. It's a great version of the fastball. I definitely recommend it. It's not bad on the arm because the way you're pronating, you're not putting a lot of stress on your elbow. So it's a great pitch, very effective, especially if you can get that depth on it. Again, the slider or the slurve, another great effective pitch, especially if you can keep the same arm slot as your fastball. And then the forkball, again, I don't recommend it if you're a younger pitcher, but if you're older and you're trying to make something happen and you can mess around with that and get some good movement on it, maybe try it out. All right. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave a comment below and let me know what pitches you throw. All right. What's your best pitch? Put them in order. Number 1, what's your best pitch? Number 2, what's your next best pitch? However many pitches you got, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up real quick. It won't stop the video. And share this on your Facebook and your Twitter. Thank you guys. If you haven't already, subscribe. And I've got 3 free videos that you can check out. I'm going to leave something on the screen here where you can click it and get those 3 videos. Those 3 videos will change the way you think about pitching. So definitely check that out before you leave here. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and then join the free newsletter at yougoprobaseball.com.